फितरत नवा पर बे मजबूर करती है। अभी महफिल में है शायद कोई दर्द आशना बाकी, दिलों में वलवले आफाक कीरी के नहीं उठते, निगाहों में अगर पैदा न हो अंदाज आफाकी।
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम व आलिहि ताहिरीन। अम्मा बाद फ़ौज़ बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। अस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला सय्यिदिल अंबियाइ वल मुरसलीन व खातमिन नबिय्यीन अबिल क़ासिम मुहम्मद।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहुम
व आलिहि तय्यबीन अत्ताहिरीन अलमुंतजबीन अलमासूमीन अलमज़लूमीन अल्लज़ीना अज़हबल्लाहु अन्हुमुर रिज्सा व तहहरहुम तत्हीरा।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहुम
व लअनतुल्लाहि अला आदाइहिम अजमईन मिन यौमि हाज़ा इला यौमिद्दीन। अम्मा बाद फ़क़द क़ालल्लाहु सुब्हानहु व तआला फ़ी क़ुरआनिहिल मजीद व फ़ुरक़ानिहिल हमीद। औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनुत्तक़ुल्लाह व कूनू मअस्सादिक़ीन। सदक़ल्लाहुल अलियुल अज़ीम व सदक़ रसूलिहिन नबिय्युल करीम। In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. O ye who believe, be careful of your duty to Allah and be with the truthful. Sadaqallahul Alim wa sadaqa rasulihin nabiyyil kareem. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. The ayah which I just recited to you, which I just recited for you, is the 119th ayah of the 9th surah of the Holy Quran, which is Surah Tawbah. And the reason I've recited for you this ayah may be straightforward to some of you, but some of you may not realize it. It is because today we will be trying to focus our aims and our matters towards the virtue of truthfulness and honesty. Isn't that right, Hasnan? So in today's meeting, short meeting, we will be telling you the message of honesty and the message of truthfulness. Indeed, this is one of the most pious and highest of virtues in the court of Allah Almighty. But that's not it. That's not all of it. It's just a general self-building and self-improvement lesson with a bit of moral stories from Hasnan as well. So before we go on to start any of that, let's begin with what is our regular thing, which is recitation of Dua Faraj. So first of all, let's pay a word into the court of the most honored one, the awaited, the sacred noor of Sayyida Kainat, Nur Rasul, Farzande Batul, Imam Zamana, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajhum. And he, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajhum, has said, rest assured that no one has a special relationship with Allah. Whosoever denies me is not my follower. The appearance of the relief of Al-Faraj depends solely upon Allah Almighty. Therefore, those who propose a certain time for my appearance are liars. As to the benefit of the existence of my existence in occultation, in ghaibat, it is like the benefit of the sun behind the clouds, where the eyes do not see it. Indeed, my existence is an amnesty for the people of the earth. Therefore, pray much to Allah to hasten the relief, for therein lies a release from all your sufferings. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abai في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة
وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم.
O Allah, for your vicegerent, the proof, the son of Al-Hasan, send your blessings on him and on his forefathers in this hour and in every hour. Be for him a guardian, a protector, a leader, a helper, a proof and an eye, until you make him live on the earth in obedience to you, and allow him to live therein for a long time. With your mercy, O most merciful of the merciful. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. And now, I would like to take a few more moments of your time to add an extra dua into our regular duas. And this has been proposed by my father for quite a long time, so I'm instituting it after a long time. So inshallah you will enjoy and gain from this dua as much as we have as a family, and of course me individually and Hasnan as well. And this is, you might have heard during Ramzan, is dua maghfirat. And I'll request, if any of you know it at home, then join in, feel free to join in. And if you don't, then learn it over these few weeks. Inshallah, it will be a regular part, such as Dua Faraj. So Hasnan, I request you to join in with me and everyone at home who knows it. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma adkhil ala ahlil quburis surur. Allahumma aghni kulla faqir. Allahumma ashbi kulla jai. Allahumma aksu kulla uryan. Allahumma qdi dayna kulli madin. Allahumma farrij an kulli makrub. Allahumma rudda kulla gharib. Allahumma fukka kulla asir. Allahumma aslih كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. And of course, Ilahi Ameen as well. Once again, send salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Now, then, I'll request you to recite it, and of course I will also join you as well. The recitation of the Dua Hifz Iman. If you know, Isnan knows what it is, I'm sure any of you who may already be familiar with it will also join in with us as well. So after a salawat, I'll request Hasnan to recite that for us. So I'll recite the salawat for Hasnan this time. Usually he's the one reciting salawat in preparation for me reading. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رضيت بالله ربا فبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا وبعلي إماما وبالحسن والحسين وعلي ومحمد وجعفر وموسى وعلي ومحمد وعلي والحسن والخلف الصالح عليهم السلام أئمة وسادة وقادة بهم أطوى الله ومن أعدائهم أتبرأ.
إلهي آمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. Now, Hassan, quite a lot of the show has gone by, 10-15 minutes, and the viewers may have forgotten what today's topic and what today's main focus is. Of course, it's not the only subject we'll be discussing, so if you'd like to remind them, what is it?
The topic is today honesty.
Honesty, which is the same as truthfulness as well. So first and foremost, we have to understand what is honesty. So when we're discussing honesty and truthfulness, what is honesty? And being honest means to choose as a person not to lie. But as well as this is just one dimension, one face of being honest. And being honest actually also means to choose not to steal, cheat, or deceive in any way whatsoever. And this is not just when we are alone, not just when we are with ourselves, but also when we're with people. In fact, Asnan, when we're with people, people tend to be dishonest less than when they're alone. Because when they're alone, they think no one's watching them. They think no one can catch them. For example, a thief, he wouldn't go with a group of people to rob something. He would go alone, discreetly. So people believe when they're alone, it's more easier to be dishonest because no one will catch them. But they forget they're always being watched by Allah Almighty, and they're always constantly being measured and readied for the day of judgment. So, Hassan, why do you think honesty is important? Well, first of all, do you think honesty is important?
Yes, because if you need a good friend to be honest, if you have friends which are dishonest, what is the point of having friends?
So honesty is a virtue which is regarded hand in hand with goodness, and having a good personality. And if you would see, you've already sort of answered this question, but if you had one friend who had everything, like a PlayStation, Xbox, but he was dishonest with himself, and you had another friend who maybe didn't have as much to play with, but was full of honesty and truthfulness, which friend would you choose and why?
The honest one, because then you have more trust in him. If he says something to you, then you say, oh, okay, yeah, I got it. But if he does, if the other one who has PS3s, everything, if he says to me that I've got something else, I won't believe him because he must have told something else to me, which was a lie.
Okay, so it doesn't only affect the person's personality, but it affects what people perceive of him. It affects what other people think of you. So what other people think what you're going to do in the future, they don't believe that. What they think you've done in the past, they don't believe that. What they think you're doing right now, they wouldn't believe that either. Now, this is all at first, Hasnan, and we both started off mentioning the importance of honesty in regards looking away from religion, just as a human and just as a person, as a student, Hasnan, and student as well, me as well, a bit elder student, but a student nonetheless. And in fact, in society as a whole, a truthful person is valued, respected, and appreciated. In fact, honesty is such a trait that it is, as Hasnan mentioned, associated hand in hand with goodness and having a nice and clean and good personality and being a good person. But what we have to remember is that these few days, when we're talking about different virtues, such as we talked about, if you can remind me, piety, taqwa,
piety,
and humility, and now we're talking about truthfulness as well and honesty. So the whole point of these virtues, the whole point about learning about the importance and what these virtues are and how we can inculcate them in our lives is because self-development, personal development, self-growth is all about attaining positive qualities. It's all about trying to grab and reach for those virtues, those deeds such as honesty, which are the pious and pure deeds. And in that way, this can lead to a fuller and a better life for us and hopefully you as well. And it can also rid ourselves of the negatives. Undoubtedly, an honest person can never be a liar. And a liar person, hand in hand, can never be an honest person.
Like the Prophet ﷺ, when he declared the prophethood, he said that, will you believe me if I said that behind this mountain there will be a caravan? They said obviously yes, because he never used to lie.
Because he had a reputation in his business for being so faithful and so honest that he was known as a sadiq, and a sadiq, which means
The
truthful.
The truthful.
The
Yeah.
truthful, which is also one of the titles of our Imams, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. So for that brings us on to our next point. In Islam, the importance of honesty. As Hasnan just mentioned right now, the personality that is the basis, the foundation of Islam, the personality in which without him the kalma is not complete, and that is of course the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was renowned, well renowned, even before he declared his prophethood in the Arab Peninsula, that he was the honest one, the faithful one. And of course, as I mentioned later on, of course, all the Ma'asumeen are honest and pure. But Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, in particular, was known as Al-Sadiq, which means the truthful. So, apart from that, Islam in general and Allah Almighty in the Holy Quran orders the people to be honest. Now, when I mentioned the Holy Quran, I'm sure I must have reminded you of the ayah which I recited at the start, which was Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. And that is, O ye who believe, be careful of your duty to Allah and be with the truthful. What does it mean? It says at the end, be with the truthful, which means that your company, as Asnan mentioned, his friends, his people you know, should be truthful. Allah orders us to make our company with those who are known as being truthful. And what does this mean? Does that mean that we as individuals can be dishonest? Does that mean that we can be untruthful if our friends are truthful?
No.
No, undoubtedly, if you hang around, if you stay with truthful and honest people, it will rub off on you, and you have to be honest as well. Your company is what defines you, and if your company is truthful, that means you will also be truthful. You are also honest. If you mix one drop or two drops of ink into a pure glass of water, the whole water will get stained and become darker. So like that, not one person in a group of friends can be tainted with a bad virtue if the others have a good virtue. For that reason, Allah Almighty says, and be with the truthful. So choose your company carefully. This is not just a message for your friends and the people you know, this is also a message for us as well, because we are the company of people, we are the company of other people, so we should try and be truthful as well. And apart from this, Allah Almighty has sent many examples for us in the form of course, the Panch Tapak, the Sadiqeen. They're known as the Sadiqeen because they're honest and truthful and faithful and pure and pious. And when we as Mu'mineen especially look towards these personalities and claim to be followers and Shia of these personalities, then we should especially be keen and eager to maintain our honest truths and be persistent in honesty and the ways of being truthful. But not only that, when you are truthful, it also results in it also results in you having an enhanced integrity. So when it is said be truthful, it doesn't only mean be truthful with others. It also means be truthful with yourself and be honest with yourselves. Now, saying, could you give us an example where being dishonest with yourselves could harm you? As a student, I'll give you a clue. As a student, if you're dishonest with maybe what you know and what you know.
Like when you have an exam and you cheat, and then but only you know that you cheated, and then you passed, but the other person you cheated from didn't pass, and that question which you stole from that person was the mark which you needed to pass, then you feel guilty in yourself, and that's being dishonest with yourself as well.
Yes, exactly. So when you as you said, when you cheat in an exam, right? So when you cheat in an exam, you're being dishonest with, first and foremost, the examiner, secondly, your teacher, then the other students, because you're deceiving them, and fourthly, yourself, because you're deceiving yourself into thinking, into tricking that you know this. And how could, if you trick yourself that you know a subject, and if you think that you know this when you don't actually, how could that have a negative impact on your education?
Because then the teachers will put you in the higher level, and then you won't know a single thing in that.
So when the actual exams come, because these are just mocks, you'll fail them.
Fail.
You won't have any idea what's happening, and you will not know what to do, and you will just flop them and fail them. So for that reason, it is necessary not only to be honest with others, but also to be honest with yourself as a person as well. Now I'll bring you back to that saying of, that verse of the Holy Quran which I recited at the start, which is, O ye who believe, be careful of your duty to Allah and be with the truthful. Sadiqeen, be with the Sadiqeen. And this is also a message for us to remain followers and true believers of the right path, and that is the path of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, because they are the Sadiqeen, they are the truthful, they are the honest ones, they are the pure ones. And this ayah is in fact a message for us as mu'mineen especially, but as Muslims as a whole, to remain followers and believers of them and listen and believe in what they have said and practice that and input that within our lives. And for that reason, Hasnan, one of the reason we have to listen, one of the ways we can listen to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is by listening to those wise people by listening to the stories and the sayings of those wise people who have been in the patronage, who have been in the shadow of these great personalities, who have been in the enriched with the love of these personalities, and from their wisdom and from their wise words. In fact, wise people are the wise people, have the wise words themselves. And for that reason, then I know you have a short story for us about such a personality who is only a lover of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, yet he has such wisdom. So this just shows you an inkling of the great wisdom of the actual Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So this is just a short story to help us attain something before we leave on a short break. So I'll just ask Nan to tell us the story after salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajun. The story today, about the thing which I'm going to read today, is about materialism. And materialism is in the part of honesty as well. Because if you have materialism in yourself, then you're dishonest with yourself as well. And
many people are corrupted by greed to be dishonest in their business when they want to gain more stuff as well.
And especially in these politics now, they want the countries, and that's why more fights happen.
Exactly.
And this person which I am going to talk about is Behlul Dana, rahmatullah alayh. So after salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. The price of an entire kingdom is a glass of water. Harun Abbasi was once sitting on his palace when he requested a glass of water. Nearby, the mystic Hazrat Behlul Dana, rahmatullah alayh, was seated. As he began to drink the water, Behlul rahmatullah alayh asked Harun Rashid, "O leader of the Muslims, please stop for a moment." Harun Abbasi paused and asked him what the matter was. He said, "O leader of the Muslims, I intend to ask you a question. You are thirsty and you have a glass of water in your hand. If you were in the jungle or desert and felt extremely thirsty, how much money would you spend in order to acquire a glass of water?" Harun Abbasi replied, "Without water, a man cannot survive. So in order to save my life in the event of extreme thirst, I would be willing to spend all of my wealth to acquire water. If someone asked for my entire kingdom, I would part with that too." You might think he's saying wise words, Harun Abbasi, but in fact Harun Abbasi was a man who was against the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and he was an enemy to every man who respects the 14 Masumeen. Behlul heard this response and said, "Now recite Bismillah, and drink the water. After he had drunk the water, Behlul asked Harun Abbasi if he could pose one more question. He asked, "You have drunk the water. Please tell me, if this water was to remain in your body and couldn't come out in the form of urine, then how much money would you spend to have this water removed?" Harun Abbasi replied, "If my urine stopped and there were no means for it to exit my body, then this too would be unbearable. I would be prepared to spend all my wealth to relieve such a suffering. In fact, I would be willing to part with my entire kingdom if required." Behlul Rahmatullah alayh remarked, "Through this example, I desire to explain your reality and the reality of your kingdom. The price of your entire kingdom is not even worth a glass of water." The moral of this story is that Allah has blessed us with countless favors. Life, air, water and light are all His blessings. We take advantage of these things for free, but we seldom appreciate its true value. What is the value of a glass of water? Not a large amount. But from this story, we learn that water is one of the greatest favor from Allah that mankind cannot repay. Therefore, we should appreciate His limitless favors and thank Him as much as possible. We also deduce from this story that wealth and leadership are not as valuable as people assume. We should therefore not display arrogance when it comes into our possession. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Thank you very much. I will now leave you, everyone watching at home, to ponder over the moral of this story, the meaning of this story after we meet. When we meet after a short break, we will again discuss it in more detail. But for now, I'll leave you to think about it alone and wonder what it means in these few short minutes that you're away. So don't go anywhere and join us in a few minutes.
कि मेरी जिंदगी क्या है, यही तो ज्ञान मुश्ताकी, यही तो ज्ञान मुश्ताकी। मुझे फितरत नवा पर पे मजबूर करती है। अभी महफिल में है शायद कोई दर्दाश ना बाकी। दिलो